Before we dive into the latest trade rumors surrounding the Knicks and Donovan Mitchell, Joel Embiid, and Karl-Anthony Towns, I want to ask you this question. Which trade do you think is most likely for the Knicks? Is it D-Mitch? Is it Embiid? Is it Cat? Type the initials of the guy that you think is most likely to be traded to the Knicks. What up, everybody? You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Stefan Bondy of the New York Post, he put out an article about Evan Fournier and why the Knicks have held on to Evan Fournier so far. And it's because they want to use him as a piece and use his salary in a trade for a superstar. In that article, he highlighted, though, that the Knicks continue to keep their eyes on the situation of Karl-Anthony Towns, Donovan Mitchell, and Joel Embiid. Let's see what Bondy said in the article exactly. Quote, despite attempts to work out a trade, the Knicks kept Fournier because of the value attached to his $19 million expiring contract. Until the February 8th trade deadline, team president Leon Rose can use the three-point specialist as a way to match salaries for a star player. The Knicks are monitoring three targets in particular, a source said. Minnesota's Karl-Anthony Towns, Philadelphia's Joel Embiid, and Cleveland's Donovan Mitchell. Of those three, the most feasible in-season deal would be for Karl-Anthony Towns. Keep Karl-Anthony Towns away from the New York Knicks. I do not want to see Karl-Anthony Towns on this basketball team. And it's not because he's a bad basketball player. I just don't see him as a guy that could be a first or second option on a championship team. And when you look at how much money the guy is making, that salary cap or that slotted salary is going to have to make you a top contributor on a championship team. And I just don't think he could be that guy. He's not a Fetty guy. When I close my eyes and I think of Karl-Anthony Towns, I don't see him as a guy with confetti falling on top of him at Madison Square Garden. And I honestly don't think that he's the most winning type of player. Never really been on a great team. I know he hasn't had a whole lot of talent. They're just getting good over there in Minnesota. But at the end of the day, I'm not looking for a guy that's 6'11", hangs around the perimeter consistently, and does not play defense. This team needs more grit. They need more hustle. And they just need more dogs. And Cat, he ain't no dog. I will say this, though, and we've said it a couple of times on the channel. When it comes to Karl-Anthony Towns, Embiid, and Donovan Mitchell, I think those are going to be the most likely players to be traded to the Knicks over the next 6 months, barring some sort of unforeseen circumstance arising across the association elsewhere. Everybody always asks me, Marshall, who are the Knicks going to trade for? I think it is going to be one of these three guys prior to the NBA trade deadline. And I think a trade is going to come, and that is for a couple of reasons. One, the Knicks were running out of time. How are they running out of time? When you look at the draft capital that they have right now, they just don't have the amount of roster spots to court 4 first-round picks in 2024 if they all convey, and 2 first-round picks in 2025. I'll say this. They're probably 4 or 5 of the first-round picks over the next 2 years are going to convey. Do the Knicks really have roster spots for 4 rookie players? Do the Knicks even want to add 4 rookie players to this team that they are currently building to win right now? They've talked about wanting to build through the draft, but if you watch the moves they make, you study what they do, they don't want to do that. They can tell you that. They can lie to you. They can lie to me. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The Knicks want to trade for a superstar. The 4 first-round picks that you do have in 2024, 1 is your own and 3 come from other teams. The Mavericks pick is top 10 protected, Pistons top 18 protected, and the Wizards is top 12. I think the Knicks are obviously going to get their own pick. I think the Mavericks are going to be better than a bottom 10 team in the NBA this year. I think there's a chance that this Wizards pick conveys. Top 18 will go to top 16 next year. And I believe it's top 14. Then I believe it's top 12. And then I think it converts into 2 second-round picks. Moral of the story, the time is ticking for the New York Knicks to make a big-time trade. Do you think they do it prior to the NBA trade deadline? I want to hear from you. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm going to type my Y for yes. I do think the Knicks are going to make a big-time trade sooner rather than later, but I'm curious what all of you guys think. Coming up in a second, I came up with some trade ideas with the help of some of the NBA guys here at the Chat Sports Studios. Trade ideas for Cat, Embiid, and Donovan Mitchell, and what the Knicks roster will look like if those trades come through. So stick around. Actually, listen up right now because I want to tell you guys about our proud sponsor, PrizePicks. picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the promo code CLNS, and they're going to match your initial deposit up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. It's the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. All you do is select a lineup of players based off of the stat projections that PrizePicks have. And you just select more or you just select less. And they've already got some season-long totals out there for some of your New York Knicks. You look at Jalen Brunson, they've got his points per game for the season at 24.4. They've got Julius Randle at 24.3 and RJ Barrett at 19.7. All you have to do is select more or select less. You're not playing against 1,000 other people. You're not playing against the best in the business. You're just playing against PrizePicks and the numbers. Get hooked up today. I promise you guys are going to love it. It makes game day so much more fun for me on the NFL Sundays, and it's going to make our watch parties a lot more fun this year. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. That link will be clickable down in the comments and description. Remember, to use the promo code to get that initial deposit match of up to $100. Alrighty, let's close out the show with those trade ideas and what the roster will look like if the Knicks ever did punch the ticket and make a trade for one of these three stars in the NBA. Let's start first with Joel Embiid, who I think is the best player, obviously, and I think he is the one who would move the needle the most for the New York Knicks because I believe Embiid can be a first or second option on a championship-winning team. I'm not so sure if either of those other two guys can, and I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell guy. This is what I think it would closely cost for the New York Knicks. It's always so hard to talk about what a trade is going to cost for a player like Joel Embiid, 29-year-old MVP. But if it gets to a point where he forced a trade and he says, I only want to go to the Knicks, I think they're going to want Mitchell Robinson. I think they're going to want either Julius Randle or RJ Barrett. So I'm going to give him Julius Randle in this situation. And then I think they're going to want Quentin Grimes and Immanuel Quickley. But what I'm going to tell them is you get one of those guys. I'll give you Quentin Grimes. I'll give you 5 first-round picks. Remember we showed you the graphic earlier in the show. The Knicks have 8 tradable first-round picks over the next 10 years. 3 of those would be unprotected. So you'd have just one unprotected pick left to be traded. You can only trade 4 unprotected picks at one time. I think this would be closely what the cost would be. Everyone's going to say, Marsh, we're giving up the entire team for Joel Embiid. Well, you're also getting back P.J. Tucker, who I actually think would be your starting power forward. And I think your starting lineup could look something like this. Jalen Brunson, Immanuel Quickley, R.J. Barrett, P.J. Tucker, and Joel Embiid. I think that is what a starting lineup could look like if you do make that trade. And you still got Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Isaiah Hartenstein, Miles McBride, and Jericho Sims to come off the bench. That's 10 players still in your rotation that can help you win games. And I think if this is the Knicks roster at one point this year, they're a team that can compete with the top dogs in the Eastern Conference. Trade idea number 2 featuring Donovan Mitchell. This one is tricky for me because, honestly, I don't know what the cost for Donovan Mitchell would be. I was talking with producer Patrick Seatman, and he told me he wouldn't do this trade. I'm a big Mitchell fan, but I know the limitations that he does have, and I'm not just absolutely in love with the backcourt idea of Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. But I think it would cost you R.J. Barrett. I think it would cost you Immanuel Quickley. The Cavs are going to want some of those first-round picks back that they gave up to Utah for Donovan Mitchell. So I'll give you 2 unprotected and 2 protected picks for a total of 4 first-round picks. This is what your rotation, I think, would look like if you did make that trade. You got Jalen Brunson at the 1, Donovan Mitchell at the 2. I think in this situation, it would make the most sense to start Josh Hart at the 3 with Randle at the 4 and Mitchell Robinson at the 5. And you got DiVincenzo, Grimes, Hartenstein, McBride, and Sims still to come off the bench. Still a deep team, still really powerful. I'm a little bit worried about the backcourt defense, but I'm going to trust Tom Thibodeau to come up with a defensive game plan based around those 2 guys that's still effective. And he's still got Mitchell Robinson, and he's still got Josh Hart. So I'm all right with it because you might just have the best offensive backcourt in the NBA. Trade idea number 3 for Karl-Anthony Towns. This one was the hardest one for me to figure out because, to be honest with you, I think Julius Randle is a better basketball player than Karl-Anthony Towns. But if the Knicks are going to trade for Cat, Randle is the one that's going to have to be shipped out west. So I think it would just be this. This is what I would offer, nothing more at all. It would be Julius Randle and Evan Fournier for Karl-Anthony Towns and Kyle Anderson, who is on a 1-year, $9 million expiring contract. Your projected roster rotation, Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Karl-Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, Immanuel Quickley, still really deep. Dante DiVincenzo, Kyle Anderson, and Isaiah Hartenstein. And if you trade for Cat, you could still make a couple of more trades considering you didn't involve any picks. I'm sure Minnesota would like to get a couple of picks attached to Julius Randle, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't even trade Randle straight up for Cat, and I'm damn sure not adding picks to him. I think Randle is a better basketball player at this point. So we're going to run through these trade ideas one more time, and I'm going to ask you, which trade would you make? If you were Leon Rose, which trade would you do, knowing what it would cost and knowing what your roster would look like? Would it be the one with Mitchell Robinson, Randle, and Quentin Grimes going to Philly, along with a bunch of first-round picks where you get back Joel Embiid and P.J. Tucker? If it is, type 1. If you want to bring Donovan Mitchell to the Mecca and you're willing to give up R.J. Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, and 4 first-round picks, type 2. Or if you want to see Cat, Sir Per, Karl-Anthony Towns, playing for the New York Knicks wearing the orange and the blue, go ahead and type 3 in the comment section. For me, it's in order. 1, 2, and 3. Those are the trades that I would do in order. I would do the Embiid trade first. I would do the Donovan Mitchell trade second. And I honestly wouldn't even do the Karl-Anthony Towns trade. So I'm going to ink it in at 3 right there. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Look, if you made it this far in the show, that means you could at least withstand the widow's peak, and you might just like what you're watching. So we'd appreciate it if you did hit that subscribe button. Free Knicks videos every day. We're going to be live for almost every single game on the channel this year, doing our world-famous watch party. So sub for Knicks Dubs, and we'll see you later.